Hello. In this demo, I'll introduce the Hoeffding tree training model, and I'll show you how to create one in SAP HANA Studio. This video belongs to a machine learning tutorial series that covers how to use the Hoeffding tree algorithm to train and score data in Studio. For this series, you'll use some gathered sample insurance data to make calculations about insurance claims, predicting whether they'll be fraudulent or legitimate. In this first video, you'll begin the training phase by creating a Hoeffding tree training model. Later, in the second video, you'll create a streaming project where you can use and effectively train your model. In even later videos, you'll create a Hoeffding tree scoring model, which you'll then use in a project to make calculations and predictions based on training data. Unlike traditional data mining, where you build a training model based on a historical dataset, the Hoeffding tree algorithm lets you make a decision tree model designed for high-speed, high-volume incremental updates. So, the Hoeffding tree is well suited for streaming analytics, because the model can be continuously trained as new data arise from a stream. For the Hoeffding tree training machine learning function to work, you must use specific Hoeffding tree input and output schemas. For input data, each of the data feature columns can be either an integer, a double, or a string, and there's no limit to the amount of feature columns you can have. Notice that there is no ID column. The last column is a string, which is the label or classifier. In the insurance claims example, the classifier would be yes for fraudulent or no for not fraudulent. The output schema is very simple. There's only one column, and it's always a double. This column tells you the accuracy of the model. It displays a value between 0 and 1, which represents the percentage of accuracy. Keep in mind that the output schema does not take the input data and store it in HANA. The model gets stored in HANA, and it's the model that you'll use later to do your training and scoring. For more on the schemas and the algorithm itself, check out the Streaming Developer Guide. Before you continue, make sure you're connected to an SAP HANA data service. Connected? Good. Now, at long last, it's time to create the training model. In Studio, in the SAP HANA Streaming Development perspective, drill down in the Data Services view to get to the Models folder. Load workspaces from your server, then load services. From your preferred service, select Discover. From the Models folder, select Discover to see any existing models. To create a new model, choose Add Model. Select the new model to edit its properties. In the General tab, enter a model description, and choose Hoeffding tree training as the machine learning function. For this example, enter an input schema of string, integer, integer, string, string. This syntax matches the source data that you'll be using later. Then, use one double for the output schema, which again is all you need. Specify the amount of memory the function can use, in megabytes. I'll use 1024. Finally, set the sync point. The sync point determines how often the model is backed up to the HANA database. You can choose an interval in either seconds, S, or number of rows, N. This is a simple example, so I'll use 5 rows. Of course, in the real world, you would likely set it much higher. Leave the last field blank, because this is only used for scoring models. In the Parameters tab, you can fill in the specifics for the algorithm. For this example, I'll just use the defaults. If you want to learn about these parameters, check out the Streaming Developer Guide. Now, go back to the Data Services view and right-click the new model. Here, you can manually save the model if autosave isn't on, delete it, or rename it. I'm going to rename it. Now, you have a Hoeffding tree training model ready to use in a project. When you create a training or scoring model, Streaming Analytics creates 3 tables in the SAP HANA database under the user schema. These tables store valuable information about the models you create, including a snapshot of the model properties, model performance statistics, and so on. Stay tuned for part 2 of this series, where you'll create a project that can use your training model. For more information, take a look at the streaming documentation and check out the full library of streaming videos on the HANA Academy. Thanks for watching.